Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. It's the best part of Dorothy's dream.
Today on Around Kansas, we start with the story of a strong Kansas woman, Georgia Neese Clark Gray, the first woman treasurer of the United States. Then learn about Kansas Legislative War of 1893. Next, enjoy a poem from Ron Wilson. And we'll end with Grandfather Says, a wonderful book about life on the Potawatomie Reservation from a granddaughter's point of view. Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, just a short drive down the Yellow Brick Road. Good morning, I'm Frank.
I'm Deb.
And this is Around Kansas. Thank you for being up early in the morning. And this is a show where we talk about the people, places, and things that make Kansas a great place to work and live and play.
Just like you.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
So you were talking about your daughter's dogs, and she's got these labs.
Yeah.
My Uncle Tommy Gerald had a big black lab, and bless his heart, he was probably 50 pounds overweight because Uncle Tommy fed him table scraps and stuff. And this big black lab was named Bolivar. And so one day we're sitting around, and I had the opportunity, and I said, Uncle Tommy, and this is Mayberry, folks, so just picture Mayberry. And I said, Uncle Tommy, why did you name your dog Bolivar? Well, you know, that Latin American dictator, Simon Bolivar? Oh, yeah. And I'm like, why he named his dog after Simon Bolivar, I have no idea.
Oh, my.
Like I said, we don't make this stuff up. But
Yes.
the labs are great dogs.
Labs are great dogs, but the thing is they're puppies for the first 7 years. I mean, they really are puppies.
True.
And, you know, that's unfortunate because a lot of the shelters get labs turned in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because people say, you know, this dog just drives me nuts. Well, they don't realize when they get one that they're really kids.
For a long time.
For a long time.
Just like men.
Then they settle down.
Yeah, just like men. You know, they're just puppies for a long, long time. And then if you don't get one, you know, like 50, 60, you know, before they grow up at all. And I think then it's just because they lose the energy to be the kids that they were. Probably the same thing that happens with labs. They just don't have the energy to be that rambunctious. They're not any more mature. They're just don't have as much energy.
Well, if you haven't grown up by the time you're age 50, you don't have to.
You don't have to. Yeah. Why bother?
Yeah.
Why bother? So March 8th already.
Mm-hmm.
And March, again, just a busy. You got March Madness. You got, all those. We were talking last week about all the things related to the craziness of March.
Yeah.
Well, I want to mention my sister in that because my sister is a Pisces.
Crazy or what?
She's crazy.
Okay.
She, in a good way. She does my taxes, so I can't say too much about her. But I was thinking about, you know, the whole Pisces thing, you know, and that moodiness of March, and it very much reflects the month. You know, I'm an April baby, so I'm all like flowers and sunshine and, you know, all that good stuff. And she, on the other hand, is moody, but very creative and very reflective. And
yeah, but you know, what was it? There's something on Facebook somewhere, and it's about
why people in Mayberry are happy because they're single.
Yeah, everybody's single.
The only married one's Otis, and he's drunk all the time. Yeah.
So, oh my.
Because obviously you can't live with anybody from Mayberry. Oh boy, yeah. The truth comes out.
Mm-hmm. We have some stories today.
We got some great stories.
I think we have some stories today. We have some good ones.
And I say all this because I'm going to wish my sister a happy birthday. Her birthday is March 12th, so before the next. And she, God bless her, she keeps all of us running. So that's, bless you, Denise. Thank you.
So if we don't see you next week.
You'll know why.
Okay. Okay then. I guess we'll be back.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
And here we are again, believe it or not.
So I've been on this kick about strong women, and Kansas has a slew of them. So I just get excited. I don't know if this month is National Anything History Month. I don't know. Maybe it is National Women's History. I don't know what month that is. But anyway, I'm going to share them. And so Georgia Neese Clark Gray, who was the first woman treasurer of the United States. But my favorite story about her, and it's not in the segment, so I'm not giving anything away by this, is when the bank was robbed. You know, she was president of her dad's bank, the bank her dad founded in Richland, which I think is underwater now. Isn't that Clinton?
Richland,
yeah, so Clinton Lake, that's one of the communities that it flooded. So these robbers come to her house in the middle of the night, and they're going to force her to go down and open up the bank vault. And she makes them wait till she can put on her girdle before she gets out there. So, oh my gosh, you talk about one tough woman. She was something else.
Wait just a moment, I must dress for the occasion.
Exactly. And it's like, so you got these guys with guns, and I don't know if they're holding her husband hostage or whatever, but she's getting dressed and putting her girdle on because God knows you don't want your belly hanging out if you're going to be in the middle of a bank robbery.
Oh my.
I understand that totally. Yeah, I really do. Of course, in today's world where you go to Walmart and everybody's wearing their pajamas, I don't know if we've got those same standards or not.
Oh my. Yeah. You just painted an image, so I think we better take a break and then come back.
And watch the story in the meantime. We'll be right back.
Kansas raises cows, wheat, and some very strong women. The first woman treasurer of the United States is a prime example. Born in 1898 in Richland, Georgia Neese Gray attended school in Topeka and graduated from Washburn College in 1921. While at Washburn, she became interested in acting and spent 10 years with various stock companies. She married her manager, and they later divorced. Theater wasn't immune from the Depression, and with acting jobs scarce, she returned to Kansas to care for her ailing father and went to work in his bank. She became president of the Richland State Bank in 1937, following her father's death. She also became active in the state Democratic Party and was elected National Committee Woman in Kansas in 1936, a position she held until 1964. She was an early supporter of Harry Truman, and it was this support that brought about her nomination as the first woman to be Treasurer of the United States. Her name, Georgia Neese Clark, became known to millions through her signature on all U.S. currency issued while she was in office. Reminiscing about her conversation with President Truman about taking the position, Gray said, Truman pointed out the disadvantages of the job, including low pay, and asked her if she could afford to take the job. She replied, "Can I afford not to?" Following her term, she returned to Kansas to work in the family's business. In the same year, she married Andrew Gray and wished to become known as Georgia Neese Clark Gray. She remained active in National Democratic Party politics until 1964, when she resigned from the Democratic National Committee. She was the Native Sons and Daughters of Kansas Distinguished Kansan of the Year in 1981. Gray died in 1995.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Hey, I'm Clark Victory. I grew up right here on this little ranch near Chelsea, Oklahoma. Roped and ranched all my life, and a few years ago I had an injury that created what they call a frozen shoulder in layman's terms. It got to the point that I couldn't reach, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't do anything. After speaking with the surgeon in Tulsa, he finally told me that he could make my shoulder better if he did surgery, but he absolutely couldn't fix it. I decided that, maybe I better listen to my friend John, and I called Kansas Regenerative Medical Center. I talked to Patrick Farley and was just excited about the whole aspect of going up there and having the opportunity to focus on getting better. The next morning at 8:30, went into the clinic, did the stem cell replacement. By 12:30, my wife and I had lunch and was driving back to Chelsea. I feel better. We work around here. Some days we work pretty hard around here, and like any older guy does, I get pretty sore, pretty tired, but my right shoulder doesn't get sore. It's like a baby's arm.
Fort Wallace stood on the frontier in the midst of the Plains Indians Wars on a major stage route and rail line. Beside the 1865 stagecoach station, a modern museum with thousands of artifacts tell that story, like the fossil of a 40-foot plesiosaur is suspended from the ceiling. Located on Highway 40 midway between Hayes and Colorado Springs, the Fort Wallace Museum is as welcome a sight today as the fort itself in the 1860s. Discover the fightingest fort in the West. This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome back, folks. So yes, keeping that serious vein of wearing your girdle to the bank robbery. Now we have the legislative wards. Like we didn't have war enough in the legislature already. But this is why we study history, Frank, because it reminds us, people will say so many times, oh, it can't get any worse. Oh, no, it can always get worse. I don't care what is happening. It can get worse.
Well, and this story is going to be about, back around the turn of the century. I mean, you talk about politics being passionate. And
wow.
I mean, this was the legislative war, and it was a war.
It was a war. It was an armed conflict.
Yeah. And the thing is, I think the House chamber, I don't know if the doors are still there, but they were for a long time, and I don't know if they've been moved now in the renovation to the Historical Society, but it was the actual doors that got battered down by the populists breaking into the chamber to take over from the Republicans at the time.
And, there is a photograph, the famous photograph of that is on display now in the basement, the Visitor Center of the Capitol. They do have that photograph of the guy standing there
with the sledgehammer
and the hole in the door, So there is. This is not fake news. There is real evidence.
This is real news.
This is real
really
news.
Happened when people were really passionate about their politics in the state of Kansas.
And not taking Prozac.
Yeah.
May you be blessed to live during interesting times, goes the old Chinese curse. This could very well be the story of Kansas politics. With our beginnings in troubled times through to the present, Kansas politics has been filled with interesting moments, and perhaps none more so than the Legislative War of 1893. Populist Governor Lorenzo D. Llewellyn was elected in 1892, but both the Republicans and Populists claimed a majority in the legislature. The parties elected their own officers and conducted separate sessions in the same hall. Although each party made attempts to unseat the other, they proved fruitless. Finally, in mid-February 1893, the Populists took sole possession of Representative Hall, locking themselves in and Republicans out. The breaking point came in mid-February with the arrest of Ben Rich, clerk of the Populist House, with the charge of disturbing the peace of the legislature. After his rescue, both sides began to muster their forces. Republicans marched to the State House and took a sledgehammer to the door of the House of Representatives. Governor Llewellyn called up several militia companies. Late on February 15th, the governor sent for Battery A of Wichita and instructed the men to bring their Gatling gun. The militia arrived, but since it was composed almost entirely of Republicans and most of the units, well, they refused to obey the governor. The crisis continued for 3 days until a populist surrender was effected. The Republican House stayed in the hall. Proceedings against the clerk were dropped. People's Party representatives agreed to conduct their business in a separate State House room. The final decision was left to the Supreme Court on Saturday, February 25th, by a partisan vote of 2-1. The court found in favor of the Republicans. On Monday, the populists went to Representative Hall to assume their position as minority party. By this time, only a few days remained in the session. Although little constructive work was accomplished, but there was no bloodshed, perhaps their greatest accomplishment. Tarwater Farm and Home has been family-owned and operated since its beginning in 1978. What you need for farm and agriculture, lawn and garden, clothing and footwear, and so much more. You'll be surprised at what you'll find in this huge store. They have what you need and lots of it. So come take a look. You'll discover that customer service is first and foremost. Always has been with the Tarwaters. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard.
As fourth-generation farmers themselves, Heinen Brothers Ag Service understands the risk and rewards of farming. So when it comes to quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia, call Heinen Brothers Ag today, 800-760-4964.
Buffalo Bill Cody earned his legendary title in Oakley. Bring the family and come celebrate Oakley's pioneering history and unique geography at two sites, the Buffalo Bill Cultural Center and the Fick Fossil Museum. Cody's statue marks his achievements and welcomes visitors to the Cultural Center. The Fick Fossil Museum houses world-class fossils and artifacts. You'll find Oakley at the hub of U.S. Highways 83 and 40 and I-70. Stop for the legend. Stay for the day. Discover Oakley. This segment brought to you by Kansas Grain Sorghum, growers working together. Find out more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
Perhaps we've seen horses with problems through the years, but I've come to find from my experience that oftentimes the problem isn't the horse, it's the rider. This poem is entitled The Problem Horse, or The Horse's Problem. Here's part one. What's wrong with this horse? The young rider asked as he struggled with jobs for which he was tasked. She balks at the trailer, won't stand at the gates, and she doesn't move right when I want to change gates. She's skittish as heck and she spooks at my rope. I'm beginning to think this darn mare is a dope. I'm trying to get the work done that I need, but I can't make her start upon the right lead. Disgust and frustration fooled the cowboy's discourse as he asked the question, what's wrong with this horse? Here's part two. What's wrong with this rider, the mare must have thought, as he went through the struggles the morning had brought. Does he want me to gallop or just go at a lope? Does he know that he whacked me upside with his rope? Do we stop at the gate or go on down the fence? What the heck does he want? His cues make no sense. Is he squeezing his knees because he wants to go fast? Or is his intent different than it was in the past? The mixed signals she got caused frustration inside her, and the mare had to wonder, what's wrong with this rider? Happy trails.
Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego is driven by the spirit of American ingenuity. Come in for a new Chevrolet car, truck, or SUV. If we don't have exactly what you want, we'll find it for you. And we also have a great selection of used cars. We make sure you have an easy, fun, and transparent sales experience that saves you time and money. But if you want high-pressure salesmen and hours spent in the finance office, you'll just have to go elsewhere. Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're making car buying great again.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways. Of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at KFRM.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Well, we got out a book, so we had to get out our glasses so we could see. This is, I can't tell you how much you will enjoy this book. Grandfather Says, Native American Parables and Other Lessons from Reservation Life. And our good friend Brenda Culbertson authored this. And it has her just amazing photographs in it. See, there's one of an eagle right there. But these are just these beautiful, beautiful, simple stories from spending time with her grandparents up on the Potawatomie Reservation. And it's just precious.
Oh, can I read this one?
Yeah.
This is called Nose Time. Anyway, we were working in the hay meadow that was close to the house one fall day. Hay harvest was in full swing, and Grandfather was teaching me how to load the bales onto the wagon. The small square bales weighed as much as I did, but I managed to put a few on the wagon instead of dropping them back onto the ground. "You're doing good," Grandfather told me. "You have loaded many this time." He smiled through the sweat running down his face and into his eyes. "We almost have a full load." I was sweating too, and I needed a drink of cold water, but I kept working. Making Grandfather proud kept me strong. Anyway, I thought this was a short story, but it goes on for another page. It's fun stuff like that.
It is. It's beautiful, and they're so sweet. And the relationship between her grandparents really touched me because I had a very close relationship with my grandparents. But the parables, that's true. There's little life lessons in these, but they're not preachy. They're just sweet, and you can find this on Amazon. And I can't say enough about how Pretty Butterfly, she's a very talented photographer. You're going to love this book. You are just going to love this book. And it just is such a pure Kansas book. I'm just so proud of Brenda for getting this done. And I'm just so tickled to share it with you. Let's watch this segment.
Now it's mine.
Not for long.
Grandfather says that to live good and long, a person should laugh hard every day and work hard enough to see results. He usually dishes out my share of work, but I can tell that he is about to top off the work with a heartfelt laugh. Thus begins the book, Grandfather Says, Native American Parables and Other Lessons from Reservation Life. B.C. Brenda Culbertson wrote in the book's introduction that the stories included are mostly tales from her growing up on the Potawatomie Reservation in northeastern Kansas. This simple volume is illustrated by Brenda's outstanding photography. This book is profound in its simplicity. Written from the perspective of a child, it is honest, straightforward, poignant, and funny. Brenda is trained as an astronomer and teaches as a profession, but the stories here are personal. Some are parables familiar to all of us with her grandparents' own unique twist, and others will be new. They are all filled with insight, humor, and compassion. Many of the stories are conversations, like this one. "I have been thinking about the kind of person I want to be when I grow up," I told Grandmother and Grandfather one day after supper. "What do you mean?" Grandmother asked me. "You are a person now. Shouldn't you think about the kind of person you are now?" "I mean, I'm thinking of what kind of adult I want to be," I said. "I want to be like you, Grandmother and Grandfather. Both of you are respected, kind, and smart. That's what I want to be like when I am grown up." "If you want to be like that when you are grown up, then you should be like that before you grow up," Grandmother told me. "You are already respectful, kind, and smart. Why do you look to the future for what you are now?" From the book, Grandfather Says.
How time flies. We're out of business.
I hope not.
Okay. How time flies. We're out of time. I'm Frank.
I'm Deb.
And we'll see you somewhere around Kansas.
Welcome to Kansas, gateway to
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. We're the best part of Dorothy's dream.